Hey guys, real quick. The timestamps for each story can be found in the comment section below, as well as in the video description. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comment section below which story was your favorite. The first 75 people to comment will receive a redemption code, good towards 2 free Doctor Strange digital comic books. It seems that the codes are only valid in the United States, so sorry to my international viewers. Also, I'm going to start doing movie reviews on my channel, so be sure to let me know in the comment section below which movie you want to see me review first for a chance to win a $25 gift card for your choice of either Regal or AMC theaters in the United States. The choices are Moana, Allied, Doctor Strange, and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Good luck, and thank you for tuning in.
So, before I start, I want to thank the people who are reading/listening to this. It is important to understand that the word colorblind is actually very ignorant and insensitive, especially if no one is saying it to a person of color. It is okay to see color. If you walk in a field of beautiful roses, all ranging different colors, are you going to say, no flower is better than the other, therefore I don't see the colors of the petals? It is okay to see color. Acknowledging the cultures and backgrounds of where people came from is okay. That is what makes us special. No one needs to be subjected to intolerance and racism because of it. Good. Now that that's out of the way, I'll start. It was around 6 o'clock at night a few weeks ago, and I was walking with a group of friends, all of whom I have known since I could recall my first memory. Among them was my boyfriend, Alexander. Though many people call him Alex, I prefer Alexander because it sounds much more elegant that way. I was the only girl in the group of 5 guys who were like my brothers, walking to a diner from a meetup we had at a local school. Now, I have to stop you. The reason I spoke about race at the start of this story was because the neighborhood we were walking was a majority white. Hell, our university was majority white and known for its association with the Ku Klux Klan a while back. I know you guys are asking why I went down there, and in truth, because there was no reason not to. As I said, the Klan Association was a while back, and I had walked down this road before. Plus, I assume people were smart enough to know to be kind to people who don't look like them. As we walked down the street a little faster, as it was getting darker outside, we saw it, dare I say it, white people staring at us like we were from another planet. Granted, our voices were a little loud, and there was a group of boys following a girl down a sidewalk. Sounds like the perfect setting for a rape, but I was fine. In fact, I made it a point, as more and more people were staring at us, to laugh and smile more than needed to express my enjoyment. As we neared the corner, we saw a car drive past us at top speed. The blur of a woman maybe in the driver's seat. I remember looking at Alexander in dismay before he grabbed my arm in such a rough fashion and yanked me back so hard. I thought he was going to rip my arm off. He gave me a look that said, yeah, I just saved my girlfriend's life. What now? I punched him in the arm and laughed. We waited as more cars drove past before we could walk. All of the car drivers looking at my friends as if we robbed a bank. Accusing eyes burrowed into our souls. It was odd, I have to admit. I don't want people to think that a group of young people walking down the street at dusk was an omen of bad times ahead. No! We were just a group of young people walking down the street, laughing and joking. No big deal. We crossed the street and continued on our hike, the breeze picking up now. I remember looking at my friend Adam's profile and saying to him, you have such a strong jawline. He laughed and blushed, hard, and a charmer I was. Then we passed a large, well, not that large, rather than a normal size house that looked large because the darkness emphasized the shape. House that stood idly by the corner where the diner was located. And no, for those who have been asking, this diner was not Denny's. I don't fuck with Denny's, mostly because of the food not being good. The house gave me the chills every time I passed it. I would feel the need to cross the street, but this time, even though I still had the feeling, I knew I was safe because I had my boys with me. We walked past the house. This time there was a woman in the yard, doing something with her rosebush at night. Okay. I was cautious to tell the truth. She was turned away from us and in her garden at night. Like, what the fuck? Who does that? However, no matter how weird the situation was, I was raised by two polite people. I came to a halt, my friend Jacob running into me. Again, Alexander caught me before I could fall forward. I called out to the woman, "Hello there!" She turned around and, unlike many of the stories on Reddit or whatever other storytime funtime sites there are on the web, this lady looked relatively normal. Aside from the PJs she was wearing, I'd say this bitch was normal. She looked at us and said nothing. Her arms were just crossed and her face had a stone-cold look on it. I took a step back, bumping into Jacob again. I couldn't just leave now. The lady saw us and therefore coming back would be more awkward than uncomfortable. So I repeated myself. I'm such an idiot. "Hi, ma'am." Again, she made no move to respond, so I looked at Alexander, who was looking at her with his heart, took my hand. As we started walking again, something the lady said made us all turn around.
"You heathen niggers."
Or something along those lines. Jacob heard clearly, though. Jacob, who was a pretty big guy, not only in height but in weight, he weighed about 250 pounds and was a football player as well as a discus thrower like me. Jacob swung around and he looked at the woman. "Excuse me?" "Jake, don't!" I remember Alexander pulling at Jacob's sleeve. "You niggers need to get off my lawn," the woman yelled. We were so confused. I gave Jacob a look that said, "Did she just call us niggers?" Jacob nodded and looked back at the woman. She couldn't be much older than us, around 25 years old. The woman noticed that we weren't moving. I guess this bitch confused confusion with defiance. Hell, I bet the bitch confused 2016 for 1816. So, out of pure anger, I'm sure the woman said it again. Now I'm pissed. The only black person in the group was Jacob. I know, you guys are asking about my race by now. I'm a chocolate-covered, multiracial, 18-year-old girl. My mom is black and Arab, Israeli, Iranian, and Pakistani, and my father is Italian and black. Yes, I do consider myself black, but I was not expecting her to say nigger, and directed towards me and Jacob, who are hanging with a group of people who aren't even black. I know, you guys are asking me about the races, ethnicities, about my comrades who were with me. Well, Alexander is Indian, Adam is Pakistani and white, Quentin is Israeli and white, and Michael is Latino and Pakistani. In other words, we are all Arab or Arab mixes except for Jacob. I tell her this in less words, and the woman comes running at us with a gun she seemingly pulled out of nowhere. Alexander told me the reason he was staring at her so hard was because he saw the gun on her hip. We started to freak out. Well, I did, even though I came from a military family. My father and grandfather and uncle all served our country, and I knew what a gun looked like. I just have never been this close to one, and damn sure never had anyone charge at me with one. As we scattered, I heard a pop, pop, pop sound come from behind us. I let go of Alexander's hands and took cover behind some cars. Panting, I looked around for my friends and Alexander. I saw Jacob in the shadows looking directly at me. I put my finger on my lips in a motion that told him to shut the hell up, or we'd all get killed. I looked for Alexander and couldn't find him. I shouldn't have let go of his hand. I heard the woman approaching something a few meters away from the car I was behind. I came to a crouch and I peered over the car to see a body on the ground. No blood that I could see, just a body. I noted my eyes to see what the person was wearing and if they were breathing. They were. Just little shallow breaths, but they were breathing. Suddenly my brain registered that it was dark because I couldn't tell what the person was wearing. My heart thumped as I prayed to God that it was Alexander. And if it was him, then I prayed that he was going to live and someone from this neighborhood would come and save us. I turned back to Jacob, and I knew he could since that I was going to do something crazy. I'm not a violent person. In fact, fighting makes me cringe. I hate it that much. However, even if the body wasn't Alexander, It was someone from my crew, and they were friends and a part of my family, and I had to help them. I crept around the car, careful not to slip on the rubble that surrounded the car. As I got on the curb and looked at the person who was on the ground, I had a complete meltdown. I broke down crying and saw the body of my boyfriend on the ground. Yes, blood was present and all over his sweater vest. I noticed Jacob get up and hear his feet beating against the gravel as he ran up to the woman who was still looking at me and tackled her. I don't know how he did it, but he got her to the ground without firing the gun. I saw Michael and Quentin run up to Alexander and roll him on his back. I wanted to yell, "Don't touch him!" afraid that he would die while they were trying to save him. I'm a biology major and I knew some stuff about the human body and some stuff from TV. All that shit flew out of my mind when I saw Alexander on the ground. I ran over to him and held his hand. I remember repeatedly telling him that he was going to be fine, and next year he was going to carry our school to nationals in distance. I remember hearing him look at me, his dark glasses somewhere on the other side of the world. He had the most beautiful eyes and without glasses on. I told him, "Alexander Gideon, if you die on me," I could have sworn he wanted to laugh, but probably not. There was an ambulance and police car that rounded the corner. I don't know who called or when they called, but I'm glad they did. The EMTs worked hard to keep him. I have to praise them for that. I give them props for not killing my boyfriend. Once I saw they got him stabbed, I noticed that the police car that had the crazy woman in it was driving away. It drove away, then the ambulance drove away, and just like that, the event was over. I couldn't eat after this, so I called my mother and father to come pick me up. When they arrived, I proceeded to tell them what happened between me, my friend's boyfriend, and that crazy-ass lady in the yard. And I said just that, crazy-ass lady with a gun. I'm not supposed to cuss, but I was scared and worried not only about my boyfriend, but my other friends who would have to return to the university, and for my life, because as I stated before, this area was associated with the Klan. I asked my parents to drive me to the nearest hospital as I called Alexander's parents. When I told them, all I could do, as I could hear his mother sobbing in the background, was pray that he didn't lose too much blood. The EMTs told me he was shot in the shoulder, and I knew there was an artery over in that area. Now, a few weeks later, I don't care. No one but my friends, my parents, and Alexander's parents have dropped by to see him, and I don't expect racist people to do so. Alexander is doing fine and will be returning to university in a few weeks. Guys, don't fuck with racist people. Treat each other with respect and don't walk down a notorious Klan operational neighborhood at night. Not if you're black, not if you're Latino, not if you're Indian, not if you are anyone. Those guys live in their own world and will not hesitate to kill anyone, even a group of student athletes.
Happened to me when I was 15. I've always been the type to hang out with people but not make them take care of me since I was younger than most of my friends. I had went to the fair the date we were supposed to, but I had a friend that wanted me to go on a separate day. He drove me with him there, and I obliged to take our DART train system that was part of our country. Most of the people had taken it when the fair was open, so they wouldn't have to pay for parking. The train ran about 45 minutes away from the station in my city, sometimes longer since there were multiple stops and people going in and out. I've taken the train many times before with friends and even on my own. I had left my friend to go home around the evening and started to get darker. I was wearing shorts and glitter clothes and had my purse on me. Just to mention the fact that I was young and very much alone on the train. There had been a bunch of people on the train, but as soon as 20 minutes passed, more and more people got off, but a few got on to go wherever the train directed. The DART train was very much sketch. I was afraid sometimes to be going to some stations because of the type of people that were on it. I am a very tough girl for my size, 5'2" and a wrestler. I had some skills. Another thing I just remembered was that I had got a can of pepper spray from my friend's house earlier. I don't remember why I had taken it, but it ironically was needed. I sat in front of the sliding doors to watch the people that came in and sat close to the window, and there were double seats that were left empty. My intentions were for no one to sit behind me. There was a station that a couple of people got on, and an old man with glasses sat behind me. He looked normal, although he was dressed pretty poorly. Baggy pants and a white t-shirt. He sat in the double seat exactly behind me. The train went on. I started to hear some movement and a tug on my hair, thinking that the man had tired moving a bag. So I took a quick turn and looked at the ground behind me. There was no bag. I started to get nervous, thinking the man might try touching me. I stood still. Then I felt, without a doubt, a tug on my hair again. This time, when I turned around, I saw the nervousness in his face, just like he had gotten caught. So I knew he did. I got up and looked at him with anger and stormed off to sit in front of a line of women coupled together in seats ahead of where I was sitting. I hadn't looked back because I was worried I'd get the man's attention again. I had then remembered I had a pepper spray can in my purse, which I had then started to grip in my purse the entire time I sat there. After a couple stops, I looked back and he wasn't there. So I went back to where he sat because it was in a corner where I could be aware of surroundings. A man that sat across the aisle had seen the whole thing. He asked me what happened, and I told him the creep was touching my hair. He told me I should have protection on me in cases like this. He pulled out a switchblade and said he always carried it for events like that. The man kindly stayed and watched if any creep sat with me throughout the duration of the ride, till he had to get off at his stop, which was 2 stops away from mine. I had my friend picking me up at the stop. I got up at my stop, which was the very end of the train stop, and hoped there wasn't any weirdo waiting outside. I waited on my friend for a couple minutes, nervous and scared. She finally got there, and I told her everything. I haven't been on the train since.
My name is Cory. When I was young, around 9 or 10, my friends and I would go to the park by ourselves. It was only a few blocks away, so our parents would let us. One day, we went behind the park and saw a very big sewer pipe. My friends and I went exploring in there all the time, each day deeper and deeper. I remember one time I went to the other side of town, coming across the parking lot of a drugstore. Every pipe would get smaller and smaller. The smallest one I went into was around 2 feet in diameter. After I went into that pipe, I was well ahead of my friends. When they got into the space I was in, we all saw a massive pipe. I would say around 15 to 20 feet in diameter, which was big for a little kid. Every pipe was lit up with natural light except for this one. It was pitch black. Dimly lit cell phone flash could not do anything. I was the brave one, to say the least, leading the lines. No one else wanted to go in there with me, so I went myself. I couldn't see anything. The pipe reeked a horrendous odor I had never smelled, most likely death. I felt a warm, almost breath. I could feel something touch me. I asked my friends, which was silly to do because they were so far behind. When I walked deeper and deeper into the pipe, it smelled worse and worse and got much larger. I could hear a very loud splash of water, sounding like someone had been sprinting toward me. I ran out of the labyrinth that was the sewers as fast as I could. I told this to my parents, and they never let me go to that park alone ever again. I was terrified. Let's just say I never went in the sewers again.
So I live in a small village in the southeast of UK. I am a 16-year-old female and quite tall for my age, so I tend to attract unwanted attention wherever I go. And in this case, it's more sinister. My house is relatively small, but large enough to accommodate for me and my family. It's not really the house that bothers me, it's the location. All of the surrounding area is neglected, and the neighboring houses almost corner us into the car park opposite. People living next door to me have always been loud, and that's alright, as noise helps me sleep, however. The new friend that comes to visit them makes their calming chatter much more tenser. He tends to bark back at their dog, create arguments out of the blue, and continuously beats the fence that separates our gardens. One night, he was being especially aggressive and loud. I, being the nosy type, decide to look out of my bedroom window, which looks out on their garden along with mine. I watch them for a while, fascinated by how they all seem to ignore his violent outbursts and still manage to have a nice time. Tommy, which I later found out is his name, notices me and looks up. Tommy is short, bald, quite chubby, and has a lazy eye that drifts to one side when he talks. When he notices me, he smirks to himself and winks. I immediately realize how rude I am being, giving him an apologetic smile, close my curtains, and go back to bed. The next day is Monday, and I have to leave the house by 7:30 in order to catch the bus to school on time. I usually leave with my younger sister, and we part halfway as she goes to a separate college, but for some reason this one time she sleeps through her alarm. I leave the house alone, and as in the middle of winter it's still quite dark out, which makes my solo trip quite unsettling. As I get up to the point in which my sister and I part, I look back and see Tommy's distinctive white van speeding up the road. As he approaches me, he slows down, and so I take out my earphones and turn to face him. Thinking he wanted to tell me off about spying on his evening with his friends last night, I begin to get a little nervous. He gives me the same smirk he did the night before and says, "Hey, Jenny, right?" I then respond with a casual, "Yeah." He smirks again and says, "You want a ride? I'm on my way to the pub. You can come if you want. I won't tell." I give him a nervous smile and decline, starting to walk away, hoping he would get the message. He then drives slowly next to me and says, "I like your hair, red. Red-haired girls are always the sweetest." I thank him and speed up my walk and cut over the green to my bus stop. He then speeds off with a disappointed frown. Okay, well, nothing really happened after that until I went for a long weekend holiday with my grandparents and cousins to a farm. There I would stay in a very small caravan with them, just like what I had done when I was small. These happy memories of my past were crushed when I see an old familiar van parked a few spaces to the left of us. I feel my stomach churn, and I tell my grandmother. She tells me to stop being so paranoid and takes me by the hand to go and say hello. Tommy comes out with his girlfriend, with overjoyed expression on his face, which made me believe then that this could have actually been a coincidence. After my grandmother had finished chatting with them about past holidays and future plans, we head back to our caravan. The next day, Tommy is constantly looking out at our caravan and taking walks in front of us, then back again, for a few minutes every 2 hours or so. What really creeped me out was when we all went to see the animals at the farm. There were pens of animals all around this large room, with the odd hay bale nearby for us to sit with the animals and pet them. Me, being an animal lover, I sit down with a small lamb, and this helped me forget about the whole Tommy issue, until I feel the hay sink a little. I turn my head to see Tommy sitting next to me with a wide grin on his face. He started to stroke the lamb and purposely touching my hand as he does. Thankfully, my grandfather is really overprotective and saw this middle-aged man next to me. So, instinctively, he came over and sat very close to me and wrapped an arm around my back. This eased my nervousness for a while, until my little sister fell and started to cry, which left my grandfather to help her as he got up to help. I did so too, as I couldn't stand being alone with Tommy any longer. As I stood up, though, Tommy grabbed my arm and asked in a threatening tone, "Where are you going? You going to ignore me again?" I said I need to be with my grandfather, in which he replied, "Such a pretty thing like you needs to be kept clean." He then wiped the hay off my butt, whilst biting his lips slightly. I broke away from him and spent the rest of my holiday in our caravan. He hasn't really bothered me after that, except the occasional wink and his decision to help my dad with his car when he realized I was helping also.
This happened to me on July 4th, 2016. I'm a 14-year-old girl who lives in the United States. I'm 5'5" and I weigh 110 pounds. If this ended any other way, I don't think I'd be writing this at the moment. I was out with my older brother. I'll call him Jason to conceal any private details. We walked out front of our house and down a block, about a 1-minute walk to the park across the lot from our house. We had brought our camera to record the fireworks for our dad, who was overseas. We couldn't make it to the actual fireworks show because our car, a 1998 Durango model, had broken down a couple of days prior. Jason and I wanted to snag some fireworks from people who were lighting them, and so we waited for about 30 minutes in the pitch black before the fireworks actually started. We hit record, and though we could see the fireworks above the tree line, the camera couldn't catch them, so we headed back to our house. My brother led the way, and I followed. We were about 100 feet from our house when we heard more fireworks. Jason hit record and started filming. We were now in front of our neighbor's house, recording the fireworks we could see from behind their roof. All of a sudden, we see flashing lights coming from the neighbor's bedroom window. I thought this was strange, but it was none of my business to begin with. About 30 seconds passed, and a silhouette of a person appeared in front of the window. My brother and I kept recording even though we thought it was stupid. About 4 minutes passed, and we decided to head the rest of the way home. Then, all of a sudden, a light is lit at us. I turn around to see who the person is, but because of the light in my eyes, I couldn't see the person. We started walking faster, and so did the person. Jason walked ahead of me, and I tried to catch up. I turned around again, and the person was about 2 feet away from me, with the light still blinding my every glance. They could have easily grabbed me. I'd never been so afraid for my safety. All of a sudden, I hear my mom yell from the house. She yells at us to come back because we were gone for so long. About 45 minutes, I'd say. We yell back that we are coming up the driveway. I turn around again, and there is no person, no flashlight, no sign of life on the street anywhere. The figure had vanished like they were never there. I told my mom, but she just brushed it off. I never found out who was chasing after us, and I hope I never do. Hey guys, real quick. The timestamps for each story can be found in the comment section below, as well as in the video description. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Let me know in the comment section below which story was your favorite. The first 75 people to comment will receive a redemption code, good towards 2 free Doctor Strange digital comic books. It seems that the codes are only valid in the United States, so sorry to my international viewers. Also, I'm going to start doing movie reviews on my channel, so be sure to let me know in the comment section below which movie you want to see me review first for a chance to win a $25 gift card for your choice of either Regal or AMC theaters in the United States. The choices are Moana, Allied, Doctor Strange, and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Good luck, and thank you for tuning in.